Whippersnappers, this is Tortware the Gray. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Pokemon Showdown Gray version Season 2. Today, we are doing the third member of the Elite Four battles as we go up against Acolyte Nougat and his two-man team. He's the low man on the totem pole here in the Fighting Acolytes chambers, as he's only got a couple of little Pokemon that he's just starting out on his training with. But I actually misspoke. So I think last week was Ghost, and I erroneously assumed that we had already done Ghost in Season 1, but I was incorrect, and we will talk about that in the next battle. Thank you so much for participating this week, Acolyte Nougat. So here we go up against Acolyte the Espresso Cat as Hannibal throws up the Power Punch up against Hanu. But yeah, so last week I erroneously said that we were doing Ghost for the second time in the Elite Four, because I think the first Elite Four member in both seasons was Grass. And I looked at the thumbnails for the previous season, and I saw Mega Gengar there, and I assumed that we had also then done a Ghost Leader. I didn't take the time to actually go in and look at the episode. Turns out, actually, though, that it was Poison type last season. So we had Grass, Poison, but Fighting is once again a type that we have done in this in Season 1 of Gray version. So Grass and Fighting, not Ghost, but Grass and Fighting are both types that we had in the Season 1 Gray version Elite Four. So that's kind of fun. I guess we're still are keeping with redoing those types. But Legion doing good work up against the Gallade there. Focus then comes in and is going to take a Zen Headbutt up against Acolyte Ecat's Medicham. Pi then is going to come in, throw up the Mach Punch, do a little bit of damage to Legion, but going to take a Zen Headbutt and go down, leaving Ecat with just his Primeape Laszlo, reference to his Heptathlon season, or his the Heptagon Lock Season 1 transfer. So there we go, Legion taking out Ecat's team for the most part there. Let's check out the next one, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, up against Acolyte Codeman, and I think I forgot to say it, but thank you Ecat for participating in our previous battle. Roach comes in, and Hanu's going to be able to get the rocks up and go down. Roach getting the Beast Boost, which is not ideal. Zuko's going to protect here as Roach starts setting up Quiver Dances, which is frightening. That's frightening. Gonna keep Quiver Dancing there, and I go for the Blaze Kick, which was dumb. Well, it wasn't Focus Sashed. Oh no, it did. It hung on with this Focus Sash. Well, I guess it didn't matter then at that rate. But I did have Brave Bird on Zuko this week because we were going up against fighting types, so I should have probably done that as opposed to Blaze Click. But anyway, Focus Sash wouldn't have changed it at all. So Firestorm then comes in. That's a great name for this thing. It looks just like Firestorm, the DC hero. Legion gonna throw up the Earthquake there, surviving the Fire Punch and finish off the Chimchar, or not Chimchar, but you know, the Infernape. General Sao then just goes down to an Earthquake from Legion. Freza then switches in and is going to Mega Evolve into Mega Mewtwo X, I think is what it is. Yes, Mega Mewtwo X, which is Psychic Fighting. Raceland then going to come in, take an Ice Punch from Mewtwo, which is kind of impressive, and throws up the Dragon Claw, finishing off Mewtwo there. Luchador then switches in and is going to throw up the Acrobatics, which would win enough to finish off Raceland. And Fumzy switching in then, taking the Hard Sky Attack from the Luchador, and going to flinch. Healing up a little bit, Black Sludge, taking another Acrobatics there, going to get the Will-O-Wisp off on the Luchador, which is going to work out nicely there. Fumzy then going to take an Acrobatics, and I think throw up the Pain Split here. Yeah, we get the Pain Split off, which is going to even us out a little bit. And then Fumzy's going to be able to take a Drain Punch there, throw up the Flamethrower here probably, and clear off some of the Luchador's HP for us. Luchador is then going to throw up the Thunder Punch. Fumzy's going to take that very nicely, but going to get paralyzed, fighting through the paralysis though to finish off Luchador with a final Flamethrower. Thank you so much for participating this week, Codeman. I greatly appreciate it. And let's jump into the next one, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, up against Acolyte Scad in battle number 4 as Hanu takes a Mach Punch from Drago there. Throwing up the rocks, Drago's gonna get burned thanks to its Flame Orb, giving it the Guts boost, finishing off Hanu with a Drain Punch there. Then Zuko switches in and is going to throw up the Blaze Kick. Drago's going to take that pretty well and then throw up the Knockoff. Again, not sure why I'm using Blaze Kick. I mean, just assuming that I can potentially I don't know. I don't know why Zuko was doing. I don't know why I was doing that. I mean, it's not recoil, obviously, but yeah. Special thank you, actually, to some of you guys. I think Celine Eleanor suggested I use Blaze Kick as opposed to Flare Blitz, and Mac, I believe, suggested I use Hypnosis on Sandman as opposed to Dark Void. So thank you guys for those suggestions. I just kind of took the recommended sets, unless I had a set that I already liked using, and used those to start with. So thanks for these suggestions on last week's episode. Raceland then throws up the Dragon Dance, as Daisy's going to throw up the Z move there, the Continental Crush being the Rock Z move, enough to finish off Raceland there, so down goes the Dragonite. Fumesy switching in then, and Fluff is going to switch in to a Will-O-Wisp, which works for us pretty nicely. No guts or anything on this thing. Fluff, they're going to throw up the Return. Fumesy going to be able to take that pretty well. Throws up the Flamethrower there. Does decent damage for us, so we'll take it. Fumesy is then going to take another Return from Fluff and finish off Fluff with another Flamethrower there. So Black Sludge healing us up a little bit. Bane then switches in, goes for the Pain Split, heals us up a little bit. The Dynamic Punch land is going to confuse us. Unfortunately, they get the crit on that as well. Fumesy healing up a little bit with the Black Sludge. Throws up the Flamethrower there. I don't go for a... Well, I didn't initially go for the Will-O-Wisp because I was just dumb. I was thinking this thing potentially got guts, but obviously with a Machamp, you're going to want to be running no guard. So, yeah, I should have Will-O-Wisped it earlier. But, going to take a Stone Edge. Thankfully, Fumesy does a pretty good job of fighting through the confusion, except for this instance where he does manage to hit himself in the face. But Bane goes down to the burn damage anyhow, so Fumesy at least outlasts him. Ariel then switches in. Fumesy is going to, I think... Yeah, no, just take an Iron Tail and go down. For some reason, I thought Fumesy broke out of the confusion at some point. Sandman then throws up the Hypnosis, which is unfortunately not going to hit, but we do have the Focus Sash on Sandman this week, so that's going to help him to survive, but not long enough to do anything, and the Bullet Punch will finish off Sandman, leaving me with just Legion. I mean, not just Legion, I guess. We do have a Mega Psychic up against the Fighting-type Elite Four members, so... There is that, I suppose. Ariel then going to take or throw up a close combat, which is not going to be enough to finish off Legion, but the Zen Headbutt will be enough to finish off the Mega Lucario. So, in a very close battle there, Scad just barely misses the mark, and Legion able to pull it out for us. So, thank you so much for participating this week, Acolyte Scad. I greatly appreciate it. Let's jump into the next one, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, here we are up against Acolyte Shunosaurus, and Toxicroak starts off right off the bat with boosting, expecting the rocks there. It's like, alright, I got a free turn to just kind of do whatever I want. So Hanu's then going to switch out and bring Fumesy in. Fumesy's going to take a hard Sludge Wave. I guess Fumesy's not very specially defensive, and with the 2-time special attack boost, even with a not very effective move, I guess that's fair. Fumesy then going to go down to the Hidden Power, leaving the burned Toxicroak on the field. Legion then switches in and is going to Mega Evolve, take a hard Vacuum Wave, but then going to finish off the Toxicroak with an Earthquake there. So Toxicroak goes down, Lucario then switches in, and Legion is going to take an Aura Sphere, which is going to finish him off, so down goes Legion. Zuko then switching in, Lucario switching out, Infernape coming in for the... Oh, we throw up the Protect there, so at least we're not going to waste a move on the Infernape there. We are able to avoid the Focus Blast and get the 2-time speed boost, and then throw up the Brave Bird, which will finish off the Infernape. So down goes there we go, down goes Infernape, the speed boost racking up a little bit. Beware is coming in, and we're going to be able to throw up the Brave Bird on it, but it's super bulky, and this thing's going to survive it. Throwing up the Return, finishing off Zuko without too much trouble whatsoever. Sandman then switches in and is going to throw up the Psychic, taking Beware out, at which point Pheromosa switches in. So a couple of you guys brought the Ultra Beast in this week. Hanu's taking the hard Bug Buzz, and then the Ice Beam going down, leaving me with just Raceland and Sandman. Unfortunately, Raceland is weak to the Ice Beam that Pheromosa is throwing out, and unfortunately with the Speed Boost, Dragon Dance, we're still not able to outspeed. So it was a waste to go for that Dragon Dance. I should just try to do some damage. Not that it would have necessarily mattered, as Sandman comes in, takes a hard Bug Buzz, gets the Psychic off, and finally finishes off the Pheromosa there. But that leaves a 1 HP Sandman up against a Chestnut, who unfortunately is going to survive the Psychic and finish Sandman off. So Shunosaurus taking the first victory in this week's battle up against the Fighting-type Elite Four members. So GG, Shunosaurus, thank you so much for participating this week. I greatly appreciate it. Let's check out the next one, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty, up against Karate Dude Adarum, and he's going to immediately put Hanu to sleep, which actually ends up working out okay for us, as we can use Hanu, who's kind of a weak link anyway, as a bit of a sleep shield there. So Fumzy going to take that Continental Crush, and Addy forgets about the Sleep Claws there for a second, getting the Spore thrown up against Fumzy, but since we've got Hanu waiting in the wings, we're going to be able to withstand it. Lucario then switches into a hard Flamethrower, which is less than ideal. Mewtwo then coming in and going to take a Flamethrower as well, but takes it much better than the Lucario was able to. Going to then Mega Evolve into the Fighting Mewtwo. Gets the attack boost there, which is not, we don't need a boosting Mewtwo. That's okay. We'll be fine. Mewtwo gonna keep throwing up those power up punches there. Fumzy gonna throw up the Clear Smog here though, because yeah, we don't need a Mewtwo setting up on us. That's okay. We'll be fine. Fumzy then going to get a Psystrike thrown up against it, but able to withstand it as we continue throwing up moves. The Flamethrower doing some good work up against the Mewtwo there, and then the Psystrike gonna finally finish Fumzy off. At which point, Legion switches in. Legion, good old Legion, throws up the Bullet Punch there and finishes off the Mega Mewtwo. Keldeo then switches in, gonna throw up the Scald, which gets the burn off on Legion, which is unfortunate. The Zen Headbutt doing decent damage considering that, but Keldeo gonna switch out as Breloom switches into the incoming Zen Headbutt. So Legion with his burn still managed to do a little bit of work there. Legion gonna come on out though, bring in Hanu, who's gonna take a Hydro Pump there. Go down to his Sturdy, and the Hydro Pump then misses, but Hanu's going to remain asleep, hoping to be able to get him to wake up and throw up the rocks, but it is not to be, and Hanu's going to go down. At which point Sandman switches in, Keldeo switches out, and Lucario is going to take the Psychic that's incoming there. Blaziken then switching in, going to get the Hypnosis landing that time, so Blaziken going to fall asleep there. Gets the speed boost either way, obviously, but that's not so much of a concern as Blaziken sleeps through its destruction. Terracoin then switches in and is going to take a Psychic, get the Stone Edge up on Sandman. Sandman lives it, although not even by its Focus Sash there, it just happens to survive it, so that works out nicely. And Sandman going to take a Hydro Pump there, forcing us to switch in Legion once more. Legion going to take a Hydro Pump and go down as well, and then Raceland switches in and is going to take a Hydro Pump, but able to take that much better than anybody else on the team and finish off Keldeo with a Thunder Punch. So thank you so much for participating this week, Addy. I greatly appreciate it. Let's check out what the last two battles of the week have in store for us, shall we? Here we go. Alrighty guys, up against Acolyte Update 124, and James comes out, sets up the Rain Dance on Hanu, misses the Toxic. Hanu, I waste my Z move here. I figure, I don't know what it was stupid. I just do that sometimes. I was watching last week's episode and I did that there too. It's like, don't just waste your Z. I should just take the Z move crystal off of Hanu. It's so dumb. But I was like, oh, it's raining. I'll just take advantage of it. And it's like, no, you're such an idiot, Tor. Anyway, so yeah, Hanu blows the Z crystal there and go down to the Scald and the Toxic and all that other stuff. Legion then switches in as James is going to take a Meteor Mash. I don't know what I was thinking was going to happen there, if I'm being honest with you. Oh, I was expecting the switch into Scrafty is what I was doing. Yeah, I was expecting the switch into Scrafty, so I didn't want to go for the Zen Headbutt. But I should have just gone for the Earthquake there. I was thinking stab's better than nothing, but in the event of a switch like that just was, you know, Poliwrath is easily going to be able to take a Meteor Mash. So Fumzy taking a hard high jump kick, a critical, in fact, throws up the Clear Smog, getting rid of the stat boosts of Snoop there. Fumzy then going to take another hard knockoff, losing its Black Sludge, and going to throw up the Will-O-Wisp, but it's going to miss there, and unfortunately Fumzy goes down to another knockoff crit this time, and goes down. Zuko then switching in, going to throw up the Blaze Kick, finishing off the Scrafty there, getting the speed boost there as Jasmine comes in. Going to throw up the Stone Edge. Zuko able to take that reasonably well, throw up the Brave Bird, and finish off the Mine Shell. Zuko pretty much down to the very little there. Clown gonna come in and Mach Punch, I believe. We get the Protect up. Yeah, in comes the Mach Punch. No speed boost is gonna help us there, so Zuko just goes down to the Girder. or the Conkeldurr, rather. Legion comes in and misses the Zen Headbutt. Knockoff going to do pretty good damage up against Legion, and the Mach Punch continuing the barrage. Zen Headbutt lands on the second attempt, though, and down goes the Conkeldurr. Nathan, the Machamp, switches in and is going to go down to a Zen Headbutt there, leaving just Charlie, the Toxicroak, and he's going to take a Bullet Punch there, and then throw up the Sucker Punch, but unfortunately does not work on priority, apparently, and Bullet Punch going to finish off the Toxicroak. So, whew, that was quite the battle. Thank you so much for participating this week. Acolyte Update 124. Now we just have our venerated leader, so let's see who has that honor this week. Here we go. Alrighty guys, and this week our Elite Four leader is Arctic Animal, and Mac, he had quite the battle this week, but as you can expect, given that he's the leader, he did break his lawn running winning streak. Best he could tell, he hadn't lost since the ground gym, which was, I think, the first gym of this season. So yeah, he's had quite the impressive streak this season. Bravo to Mac. But that streak ends here today. Spoiler alert. But yeah, you guys knew that because he's the leader, right? You guys, the leaders are usually, I have to win so we can move on in this series. But yeah, anyway, Fumzy is going to force out the Conkeldurr. Mellow then switching in, going to take a Flamethrower there. Going to go ahead and Mega Evolve and throw up the Fake Out on Fumzy. Fumzy is going to just stay and take the Zen Headbutt and go down. At which point Zuko switches in, forcing out Malo, bringing in Guinevere, and Zuko is going to throw up the Protect, which is going to fail, but I believe we throw up, the Brave Bird here, finishing off the Keldeo. So down goes Guinevere. Speed Boost continuing to rack up. Cinderella is going to come in and take a Brave Bird as well, taking the Conkeldurr out. Zuko again getting the Speed Boost, taking hard recoils though. Medieval is going to come in, take a Blaze Kick, and go down. The Steel Fighting type didn't stand a chance there. And then Mellow, the Mega, comes back in. They're going to throw up the Fake Out, finishing off Zuko there. Getting that threat off the field as Raceland switches in, takes a hard Zen Headbutt, but able to take it, unfortunately flinching in the process though, and going to go down to a second Zen Headbutt. So I'm not sure why that one did so much more damage the second time. It wasn't even a crit. It did almost double the damage though. So I'm not sure what that was, but Legion comes in, throws up the Zen Headbutt, and finishes off the Mega there. Snow White then going to take a Meteor Mash and go out. And then Pan switches in with the Verizon is Pan. Gonna finish off Legion with the Hidden Power there. Which point Sandman switches in, gonna throw up the Psychic, get it low but not enough to finish off, and then Sandman's gonna get taken down to his Scarf, or Sash. At which point the Psychic comes out from Sandman one more time and is able to take down the Verizon. But very, very close battle there. All we had besides Sandman was Hanu, who is generally dead weight for the most part, besides setting up rocks these days. So, yeah, very close battle, and a fitting end to Mac's streak. I couldn't not make him the leader after the impressive streak that he had, and he had a good battle this week, too, so it made it easy. But thank you so much for participating this week, Mac, and everybody who participated. I greatly appreciate you guys' continued support on this series, and your continued flexibility as the times switched a little bit last week, but people were still able to get in for the most part. So I apologize to anybody who wasn't able to get in. I would recommend watching the entire episode to make sure you know the time slots for the week if you happen to miss out on it for that specific reason. But let's jump over to our spreadsheet now and see what our final type in the Elite Four is going to be. Here we go. Alrighty guys, so we are back at our spreadsheet, and we had, so of the Elite Four, just to recap, we had Grass, Fighting, and Ghost so far. Of those three types, Grass and Fighting were part of the previous season's Elite Four. So we've had some carryover, which makes sense. It's the same region, so we would have some carryover, you know, even years later, we would have some of those members who would still be part of it, so that's pretty cool. Ghost types, I made a mistake thinking that, looking at the thumbnails, I had Mega Gengar on there, and I assumed, okay, so that we had a Ghost type one too, that's amazing! But it was actually Poison. But that doesn't mean that we can't also get Poison today. So we're going to be rolling random, although we can't get a full sweep, obviously, because we had Ghost, but also because Steel, I believe, was one of the types of our Elite Four last season. And as such, we're not going to be able to do that because we already did that for a gym. Anyway, enough talking. Let's go ahead and rand between And we're going to do 5 once again, and we still have 16 on the board, and 6. Okay, so Ice type. Ice type is what we're going to be doing this week. So get your Ice type Uber teams put together there. That'll be interesting. Looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for that. But yeah, so this week Ice type Ubers finishing out the Elite Four, and then next week we'll be moving into the championship battle with Anything Goes. At which point we will roll to see whether our champion will be our rival, a random trainer, or an evil team member. That'll be a fun week. But yeah, we're getting very close to the end of this thing, which is both sad and exciting. Because as you guys might have heard if you listened to the vlog recently, I am going to be taking a break from YouTube this summer. I've got some personal things that I need to kind of get figured out, just kind of get my life back in order a bit, because I've pretty much been doing YouTube constantly for the last 4 years, and it's kind of taken over my life a bit. I have to regain some of that control, and then we'll come back with YouTube. But this series and the Pokemon Crystal Wedlocke, since they're both story-based series that have an end, are going to be continuing until their completion. So there will still be some content coming out throughout most of the summer. I think the Pokemon Crystal Wedlocke will probably still carry us through the most of July, but I'm going to probably mass record those and just kind of put them out as needed. So I'll still be getting a nice little break in, but the episodes will be coming out sporadically just to kind of carry us through. But yeah, so only this week and then next week left in this series, which is kind of bittersweet but exciting. Getting towards the end here, excited to see where this thing's gonna go, especially with the championship thing kind of being up in the air. But yeah, you guys get your Ice type Ubers teams put together. I do think we are going to stick with Monday evening and Tuesday afternoon like we did last week. So Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. EST and Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. EST will be good. That gives me enough time during the week where I can make sure that I've got all the footage I need so that I can then in turn record the episode when I have availability during the week. Given that my wife is home for the summer, as being a teacher, she is off work for the summer and home pretty much all the time. So cuts into my usual recording segments. But thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Torm of the Gray, and you guys have been great. Make sure those likes, comments, subscriptions for me, guys, and I'll see you out there this week with Ice Ubers, not fighting, Ice Uber teams. See you guys out there. Have a good one.